China plays crucial role in wetland restoration, and China's mega-project diverts 60 billion cubic meters of water to dry north. The shrinking area of wetlands and degrading ecological functions are a challenge faced by the entire world. Since becoming a party of the Convention on Wetlands of International Importance, especially as waterfowl habitat, or the Ramsar Convention in 1992, China has constantly enhanced its efforts in legislation, monitoring, science popularization, and international cooperation to fulfill its obligations. China's wetland conservation has gone through 3 stages: problem identification, rescue protection, and comprehensive conservation. So far, the country has completed over 4,100 projects to advance wetland protection and restoration. It is the only country in the world that has done national wetland resource investigation 3 times. China boasts remarkable achievements in wetland conservation. Wetland ecology is constantly improving in the country. Its wetland area, covering 56.35 million hectares, ranks the first in Asia and 4th in the world. Especially in the recent decade, China has added or restored more than 800,000 hectares of wetlands. It also has 64 wetlands of international importance and 29 wetlands of national importance. The country is home to 13 international wetland cities, the highest in the world. The total number of wetland-type nature reserves in China has reached more than 2,200, while 11 million hectares of wetlands are included in the country's national park system with stringent protection management. Wetland parks well combine ecological conservation, ecological tourism, and environmental education, and thus generate ecological, social, and economic benefits. They are an important part of China's wetland conservation system. Chinese provinces and municipalities are constantly working to apply for national wetland parks and build regional wetland parks, demonstrating China's innovative approach to protecting, restoring, and utilizing wetland. Currently, there are 29 national wetland parks and 26 provincial wetland parks in Sichuan Province, and East China's Anhui Province has preliminarily established a wetland conservation network that puts 51.8% of its wetlands under protection. Hangzhou, capital of East China's Zhejiang Province, is applying for the Wetland City accreditation of the Ramsar Convention, and a provincial-level wetland park is expected to be built near the Qiantang River in the city. It is learned that the coverage of the wetland park will be far beyond that of the Zixi National Wetland Park in the city, which spans 11.5 square kilometers. Over the past few years, China has witnessed a prominent increase in the population of wild birds in wetlands. Rare and endangered bird species have started to show up in wetlands across the country and inhabit large groups there. This indicates improved wetland ecology in the country. The Yellow River Wetland National Nature Reserve in Shangzhou, central China's Henan Province, sits in the center of the middle channel of China's 3 major bird migration routes. After years of treatment, the ecology in the nature reserve has constantly improved. There are currently 283 wild bird species in the reserve, up from 169 in 2006. Surveys on wintering birds recently released by local authorities suggested important progress in China's ecological restoration. According to a report by South China's Hainan Province, the island province discovered 201 black-faced spoonbills this year, the most since the report started in 2003. Another survey on wintering birds in the Hengshui Lake National Nature Reserve Wetland Park in North China's Hebei Province said 64,000 birds and 60 species were spotted in the wetland park. While implementing the Ramsar Convention and protecting wetlands, China has explored a path of ecological conservation for man and nature to live in harmony. In October 2022, the National Forestry and Grassland Administration and the Ministry of Natural Resources jointly released a plan for wetland protection for the 2022 to 2030 period. The plan aims to increase China's wetland protection rate to 55% by 2025. According to it, by 2030, a new paradigm of high-quality wetland conservation will be preliminarily established, and the ecological functions and biodiversity in wetlands will be prominently improved. Besides, the plan will also strive to enhance the comprehensive service capability of the wetland ecology system, strengthen wetlands' carbon fixation performance, and build a better legal framework for wetland protection. China will keep promoting green development and work for new progress in global wetland conservation. China's south-to-north water diversion project had transferred over 60 billion cubic meters of water from major rivers in the south to the drought-prone north as of Sunday, official data showed. This amount is greater than the average annual flow of the Yellow River, the country's second-longest river, according to the China South-to-North Water Diversion Corporation Limited. More than 150 million people have directly benefited from the massive project. The country's south-to-north water diversion project has 3 routes. The middle route, the most prominent one, starts at the Danjiangkou Reservoir in central China's Hebei province and runs across Henan and Hebei before reaching Beijing and Tianjin. It began supplying water in December 2014. The eastern route began operations in November 2013, transferring water from East China's Jiangsu province to areas including Tianjin and Shandong. The western route is in the planning stage and is yet to be built. China will push forward the follow-up construction of the water diversion project in 2023 and accelerate the building of the National Water Network, said Zhang Suguang, chairman of the group. China-US trade reached a record high despite rising tensions, showing the relations between the two nations remain to be win-win. China-US trade reached a record high despite rising tensions, according to U.S. official data released on Tuesday. The latest figures show the relations between the two nations remain win-win, and issues like a balloon cannot change the nature of the ties. Imports and exports between the world's two biggest economies totaled $690.6 billion in 2022, according to data from U.S. Commerce Department. Mutual reliance is evident between China and the U.S. in the on-the-ground trade reality. The U.S. needs the Chinese market, which has a rising middle class with massive domestic consumption capacity. The value of merchandise exports to China climbed to an all-time high of $153.8 billion. China is also the largest market for U.S. agricultural exports. China needs the U.S. market, which has one of the largest export markets for both high-quality and low-cost products made in China. The U.S. import of inexpensive products helps China to reduce its industrial production overcapacity, and these low-cost Chinese goods have contributed to lower U.S. inflation over several decades. Competitive firms such as Tesla also help stimulate internal competition in China, raising the bars and standards of Chinese companies. China is now the world's biggest producer and consumer of electric vehicles because of the fast growth of domestic EV brands. Money talks, and it talks better than politicians. Chinese path to modernization and high-quality development. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Tuesday stressed the importance of correctly understanding and vigorously advancing Chinese modernization. Xi, also General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, CPC, Central Committee and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, made the remarks when addressing the opening of a study session at the party school of the CPC Central Committee, National Academy of Governance. The session was attended by newly elected members and alternate members of the CPC Central Committee, as well as principal officials at the provincial and ministerial level. A major theoretical innovation. The summation and elaboration of the theory of Chinese modernization is a major theoretical innovation achieved at the 20th CPC National Congress, and it represents the latest major achievement in developing scientific socialism, she said during the address. During the address, she said the concept of Chinese modernization comes from long and arduous exploration, and the country must continue to expand and deepen it. She stressed that since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, the party has made new progress based on previous explorations, continuously achieved innovations and breakthroughs in theory and practice, and successfully advanced and expanded Chinese modernization. The historic achievements and changes. particularly the elimination of absolute poverty and the completion of the building of a moderately prosperous society in all respects, have resulted in more robust institutions, stronger material foundations, and a source of inspiration for taking greater initiative for Chinese modernization, she added. China's modernization path dates back to the founding of the People's Republic of China, PRC. At the second plenary session of the 7th Central Committee of the CPC held in March 1949, Comrade Mao Zedong emphasized building an industrial country, as well as a socialist country. From the founding of the PRC in 1949 to the implementation of reform and opening up policy in 1978, the party carried out the four modernizations. At the first session of the First National People's Congress convened in 1954, Chairman Mao proposed a grand vision of transforming the country from an economically and culturally backward country into an industrialized country with a high degree of modern culture. At the meeting, Premier Zhou Enlai endorsed modernization in four aspects: industry, agriculture, transportation and national defense, serving as the initial statement of the goal of four modernizations. A new model with unique features. Noting that party leadership is vital to the fundamental direction, future, and success of Chinese modernization, and defines the fundamental nature of Chinese modernization, she said only by upholding party leadership can Chinese modernization have a promising future. She stressed that the modernization process of a country should follow the general rule of modernization, but it should be suited to its realities and characterized by features unique to its context. Citing the report to the 20th CPC National Congress, she said Chinese modernization is characterized by 5 features that are unique to the Chinese context. It is the modernization of a huge population, of common prosperity for all, of material and cultural ethical advancement, of harmony between humanity and nature, and of peaceful development. He added Chinese modernization is rooted in traditional Chinese culture, embodies the advanced nature of scientific socialism, and draws on fine achievements of civilization. She also pointed out Chinese modernization is a new model for human advancement, and it dispels the myth that modernization is equal to westernization, presents another picture of modernization, expands the channels for developing countries to achieve modernization, and provides a Chinese solution to aid the exploration of a better social system for humanity. A systematic endeavor. Advancing Chinese modernization is a systematic endeavor, she stressed, adding that it is also an exploratory undertaking. Once the strategy is formulated, it must be adhered to over the long term, he said, and stressed that the right direction of Chinese modernization must be ensured. She said innovation must be placed in a prominent position in overall national development, and efforts must be made to achieve higher efficiency than capitalism while maintaining fairness in the society more effectively. He also demanded more efforts to expand high-standard opening up and deeply involve the country in the global industrial division of labor and cooperation. The cause of promoting Chinese modernization, which is an unprecedented and pioneering venture, will inevitably encounter all kinds of risks, challenges, difficulties and even dangerous storms, some of which we can foresee and others we cannot, she said. Let us harness our indomitable fighting spirit to open new horizons for our cause. She stressed the importance of the work during this year in advancing Chinese modernization. The decisions and plans made by the CPC Central Committee must be fully implemented and efforts must be made to achieve an overall improvement in the economy, he said. New government plan to speed up elimination of cervical cancer. The central government has outlined a long-term plan to accelerate the elimination of cervical cancer by 2030 via an initiative aimed at boosting vaccination rates among girls, stepping up screening efforts among women and offering more wide-ranging treatments to patients. The action plan was put forward by 10 central government departments on January 21 as China seeks to curb incidences of the disease, reduce the death rate and alleviate the burden on the society. The move came after the National Medical Products Administration, China's top drug regulator, announced a decision in August to expand the distribution of a vaccine against 9 strains of the cancer-causing human papillomavirus made by global pharmaceutical giant Merck. to girls and women between the ages of 9 and 45. China has so far piloted free HPV vaccinations in the provinces of Guangdong, Fujian, and Hainan, and in cities including Jinan in Shandong Province, and Wuxi in Jiangsu Province. By 2025, China plans to pilot services that offer girls HPV vaccines, enabling 50% of women to receive screening services and 90% of women to be treated for cervical cancer or pre-cancer. By 2030, at least 70% of women will be screened for the disease, according to the plan. It highlighted the need to promote knowledge of cervical cancer prevention and treatment, saying that migrant workers, those living in regions that have recently emerged from poverty, and ethnic minorities in particular, will be targeted by an awareness campaign. To boost vaccination rates, the plan pledged to accelerate the approval for Chinese vaccines and amplify the role of schools in encouraging girls to get vaccinated. Efforts to intensify cervical cancer screenings will be refined, including taking steps to offer screening to more women and prioritize the expansion of coverage to women who have never been screened. The number of professionals devoted to cervical cancer prevention and treatment will be increased, and more work will be done to build up prevention and treatment capacity in central and western regions. The plan also included steps to promote screening and treatment and to make use of the internet and artificial intelligence to refine service procedures. About 100,000 women in China are diagnosed with cervical cancer every year, according to Xinhua News Agency. Hua Kekin, a physician at the Obstetrics and Gynecology Hospital of Fudan University, said that early discovery is key to the treatment of cervical cancer. And the unequal distribution of healthcare resources and lack of professionals and equipment at grassroots hospitals are major obstacles in national eradication efforts. She said that regular screenings for women are still necessary even after vaccination, as there are still some strains of human papillomavirus against which vaccinations do not offer protection.